Puera Slognum is definitely a Smurf. I want to cover them in blue paint, but I just don't know who to cover in blue paint yet. Let's just see how smurfity smurf they are when they go up against one of the best in the game, because they are facing off against Benny Boy. Whoop, whoop. In wetlands as well. Hello there, sunshine. And well, hello to good old Demu. He's going to be whipping out the Ottomans. A Civ that he said he actually felt like more recently was his favorite Civ. His favorite to play, at least. I don't know if he'd say it is his, you know, favorite one historically. He's still got a lot of love for the English, but it's definitely been the Civ in more recent months that he's had the most fun with. And a fun map to play the Ottomans on. I think Wetlands has a nice amount of flexibility in the different builds you can do. You know, you can kind of focus more on the ponds and maybe go for a greedier opening, or you can go for the kind of standardized archer-heavy mass. Even trade is potentially a possibility. We haven't really seen many Ottoman players engage with trade so far, but it's definitely a possibility, especially when you get spawns like this, right? This is essentially you've got half of the trade route already secure for you, especially when it goes past your base like this. We'll see if that comes in for either side, as Puera Slognum is going to be whipping out the Abbasids in the green. Abbasids kind of slept on a little bit at the moment. You know, they aren't overwhelmingly dominant like they were in previous patches, but I still think there's a lot of potency in them, especially when you get small groups of camel raiders together. Not riders, I'm saying raiders as in archers in this situation. Up to like 5 off of a 1 TC format and kind of shut your opponent's greed down. Cool thing about that build is on a map like Wetlands is super impactful, especially if the Ottoman player doesn't go for the mass archer strat. Wait, so Crackety got banned from the Muslims chat for this game? Oh, that's brilliant. That is actually brilliant. Something special must have happened here. Crackety, I can already imagine his voice. He's just trying to soothe you like a coach. He's like telling you what you done wrong. And Benny Boy's having none of it. Nah, I'm kidding. Benny's very receptive to feedback. I'm sure there was Oh wait, is that wait. Is it because is this actually Crackety? Is Puera Slognum Crackety? Is that where we're going here? I didn't check to see if it was a marked name. I don't think it was actually marked on the leaderboards. So it looks like we've got a Smurf. We've got a filthy goddamn... Okay, next time I see Crackety, I'm holding blue paint over him. That's the only way. Let's see what he wants to do with the Abbasids, though. Abbasids that are due for some drastic changes on the part, by the way, folks. Like, huge changes to this Civ are incoming. I already put my theory in when I read the notes a little, that I think the new build is probably getting mass Archer Spearmen in Castle Age, and with the savings you get compared to the previous comps, you then go into Siege again. I think it's going to be really busted. So... It says, Mongols are OP if you read it backwards. Yes. Yes. I see it now. What was Ariop, though? Oh, wait. Yeah. I know, I see it. But why wouldn't you put an extra space in there? Like, okay... Are you just trying to be next? You could have just had an extra space in there. What up, Taka? I see you coming through with the resub. Thank you for the Prime. Remember, folks, if you've got Twitch Prime, this is the prime place to use it because you don't want to be like halfway through one of these games and then... Have you ever watched a broadcast and you're like really getting into it? You're like, oh, the Muslims make the play right now. Look at the villagers, they're hammering in. They're about to complete the twin minaret madrasa. And then all of a sudden an ad plays. All right. And you learn about a lotion that you don't actually have any interest in because it's too expensive as a lotion. Well, guess what? If you are subscribed to this channel, you don't have to worry about that. And you get some of the coolest emotes on the planet. So be sure to hit that sub button. Back to the game, though. And Artie, I know, like, I think we're saying this is Crackety's account because we randomly got banned because of this game. Cheese was mentioned. I'm kind of wondering what the cheese is going to be. I think it is going to be the Camel Archers, like we were talking about. That's true, Crackety. It would be too obvious. Mongols aren't that OP, though. Come on, folks. Been banned from Muslims chat before? I mean, like, if you literally played the game and then went in and said something, I wouldn't be surprised if the streamer bans you just on suspicion that you were already there. I kind of wouldn't blame them. So it's going to be the archers to open up coming out from Slognum. Plenty of targets for them as well, right? Like, you think about the way the Muslim stretched himself left and right here. And he did go for the opening of the spears, so this just kind of encourages the archer play into what I'm going to assume is camel archers down the line. Might even be that we get some trade. We're going to get some trade going. Once again, similar to what we said that the Muslim had, we've got this now for Slognum as well. You've essentially got half of the trade line already protected, although in Slognum's case, this detail is really frustrating. The wood line actually, luckily for him, has a small gap here, but it's not the safest wood line possible. Compare that on the Muslim side, where it's just you can be right up against the edge of the map. Might be a little bit more irksome to deal with. But the cool thing you can do here to guarantee that your traders don't go the wrong way is if you are Slognum in this situation, you can wall across the backside here, and then you don't have to worry about your traders walking forward to your base. They'll always come through the back and come through this gap. Looks like we are going to get the trade set up. Really infuriating, actually, that we've got a patch coming, and there's nothing in there about changing this trick right now. Though there's a lot of talk right now amongst the pros about trade being broken. And I think the thing that is making it broken is this trick, the trader trick, where if you build traders out of these marketplaces next to the trade post and then set the home trade post across the map, you essentially make your money back and then some in half the time. Which is a really big deal because trade, like, I don't think trade early on should be nerfed. I just think this trick should be nerfed because trade should be a high risk, high reward type scheme. And when you get to strip away half of the time to make a return on your investment, you aren't talking about a high risk, high reward situation anymore, right? That's like me turning up to the blackjack table and the dealer being squared in, right? At that stage, meh, pretty easy to win. Of course, there is still a small risk of getting caught in that situation, which is why I think it's a fit metaphor, but overall, my odds are good. The Muslim, I think he knows what's going on in this area. It's just a case of what he can do about it, especially with what he's opened up with, spears, now looking to try and get into passive Sipahi. I do believe the Muslim, yeah, he's just going for the Castle Age rush here. We'll see how impactful that can be. Keep in mind that so far, Slognum has done nothing but build traders. You've got 3 archers, and that's literally it. I actually quite like the idea of playing onto the fishing ponds, actually. Just get on those fishing ponds. Maybe you look for your own tech up timing. Just get a few traders in, and all of a sudden, you'll be able to afford it quickly as well. And this is another thing you got to remember that's really impactful with the Abbasids. You're seeing it here. You can get a secondary resource in this situation. Because, of course, he did go for the trade wing. And I think that's the cheese we're referring to, right? Greenie's Crackety? Yeah, I assumed it was. But, we're just calling Slognum to be simple. Everyone's been banned from Muslim's chat, so any of you could be this person, right? It's quite interesting to see the trade open up, but the reason it's quite impactful, and it's easy to forget this, is remember, they did change the order of the trade wing, I think 2 patches ago, I believe it was. So now, you get access to the secondary resource as the first tier unlock. So actually going for it from Dark Age to Feudal Age isn't that bad. I believe the tier 2 is still pretty bad. So because of the changes they made, the tier 2 now gives you, if I'm not mistaken, it's the barbed, which gives extra armor on your traders. Whereas now the tier 1, just double checking, is the Grand Bazaar, which we just described. It's kind of crazy the way they made this change as well. Like Spice Roads being at the end means that genuinely you never want to actually be going for Trade Wing at Castle Age, I don't think. You're either doing it in Imperial Age or Feudal Age. And with the walls going up, he already knows what he wants to do. The amount of traders being built up here as well, his rates are about to rocket. If you look at the House of Wisdom during an age up, you can easily see the trade wing being picked. That's correct. It's something that is kind of easy to forget, though. I would say the trade wing is the easiest to identify once you're used to looking for it, just because it's the most unique shape, right? Most of them are kind of towers with different kind of shapes on top, whereas the trade wing is just this fat chunk sticking out of the side. Problem I do see is, like, if you think about what the Muslim had in mind, his build was clearly never meant to be feudal aggression. So the play by Crackety actually works really well here. Especially the walls now going up. I mean, sure, you got your Castle Age, but you've only just got your first night out. Walls are already going to be complete by the time you arrive. Knights aren't great at burning through palisades, folks. So this is really problematic territory, especially considering what Slognum's now doing. The play to go into Camel Archers is a really strong one. And the logic here is now when the Knights arrive, not only have you buffered their damage, like dragging them down by 20% with the Camel and Ease, on top of that, your high base damage means you can just kill them when they try to burn through these walls. I agree with Artie. So Artie's saying that, you know, if you see Trade Wing, you can play hyper-aggressive. And I agree. The problem from the Muslim's perspective, I think he saw it a little bit too late. He was already pretty hard locked. If I'm not mistaken, by the time he saw trade was happening, he was about halfway towards Castle Age. At that point, a lot of players will just try to commit to the Castle Age timing. And they maybe won't expect these walls to go up before they can unlock that. Unfortunately for Dimu, the walls did get up in time. And the Camel Archers are enough to always keep him at bay. So the Muslim now has to change his comp. He needs to get 1 or 2 Mangonels out before he arrives at the base. And probably even better to go towards something like Men-at-Arms or maybe Archer/Crossbow Mass yourself. Oh, agreed. Yeah, I 100% agree with what you're saying, Artie. I think something we're actually going to see a big change with the pop because of the alterations that are being made to your choices from the House of Wisdom. I do think you're going to see a lot more players scout the House of Wisdom at the tech up. I think players have become very complacent because they're not used to this build. This Trade Wing build is incredibly different to what most players see from ABBA. ABBA is almost always go Eco Wing or Culture Wing. I say on land maps, it's always Eco Wing. Water maps, sometimes you get the Culture Wing for the upgrades with the static point defenses on your docks. But for most people, it's going to be Eco Wings. And there's been this kind of lazy approach to, lazy maybe not an unfair word, but essentially people become very laid back because they just assume what an Abbasid player is going to do. And this was brilliantly done by Slognum, by Krakeny to exploit that. And notice now, he can just keep delay, buying more time here because another issue you'll see with the Muslim's comp, he doesn't have any range units. So there's nothing to really protect him when he tries to burn down these walls, and there's nothing to stop Slognum, aka Krakeny, coming over and repairing the damage done. And I honestly don't know what the Muslim does against this. Like, it's not completely over, right? Because Krakeny is still in Feudal Age. But by the time you break in, Castle Age should be on the way. Like, the trade account must be absurd at this stage. How many are we talking about? How many are we cooking with? It's going to be 33. Good lord. Okay, yeah, that's even worse than I thought. Now, the upside that the Muslim does have is these traders aren't going to get buffed further in Castle Age. Remember, you only get the barbed armor. I think it was the... Wait, was the barbed armor? Armored caravan, sorry. I'm getting confused with camels. Which gives an extra 5 melee and ranged armor. Great if you want to use your caravans as a pseudo frontline, but otherwise pretty irrelevant. The downside right now for Krakeny is this Mangonel holds him hostage in choke points. He doesn't have tech free, so he doesn't have spring odds. Does, however, have the Camel Archers, and Camel Archers can just chase after the Knights. So, Nurse the Spearman. If they just chase out here, yeah, okay, that's just going to be a throwaway. That's as free as it gets for Krakeny. The Knights now, just too many Camel Archers to deal with. They just need to peel back and go after the caravan. They cannot attack here. As Mangonels go down, and I mean, this could just be rewalled now. I'm pretty sure Krakeny just rewalls this, and the Muslim doesn't get in again. He's got a second Mangonel coming out, but his comp doesn't do anything against mass spears. Camel Archers, you know, yeah, they're not going to kill the Knights immediately, but here's the knock-on details, right? It's not just the fact that they can chase you and they have high base damage. It's the fact that they've reduced your damage. So you're not even killing traders that quick. Arguably, by the time you kill a trader, a new one has been born. Now, when you round to the corner, there's no way out of this. So pushback in the center is also going to be successful. Krakeny in full control of this game. The only thing he needs to do now is reach up in the Castle Age, which he is about to do. And I'm wondering, really, what you do if you're the Muslim. Like, you could probably go back for a TC play. Maybe try to catch up in eco. But it seems with the amount of stone he's gathering, he's just going for a double keep drop. Oh, wow. He's playing very defensive with that keep drop, actually. Not surprising here. Remember, if he was up against a static combat just spears, he can go for an aggro keep. But he's up against Camel Archers. So if you try to drop a castle in your opponent's base, the camels will kill you. Camels might kill you anyway. A military wing is going to be the play. Interesting choice here. A lot of people still quite like the idea of culture wing, just the preservation knowledge. It scales quite nicely. But I don't mind this. It's all about camels, right? Camels and spears. If you go for this comp where you go Camel Spears, and then you play Trade Wing into Military Wing, everything you get along the way is complementary to this comp. So you're going to get the Boot Camp, which is going to boost up the Spearman's effective HP, which makes them an effective frontline tank. And then Camel Rider shields allow you to go into your Raider unit, right? Camel Archers are still going to have relevance here, sure, but the Camel Riders just ensure that you can go in and dive the base and easily kill. So this is just him kind of following up with a way that he can essentially get in and take minimum damage. I have to think, like, what's the alternative here, right? You could go for, like, Eco Wing, but you don't need Agriculture. Fresh Foodstuffs is kind of irrelevant with 1 TC. You know, Preservation Knowledge can be nice. Medical Center's only really useful if you're planning to go more defensive and drop loads of castles. But I don't think Crackety needs to be defensive here. I think he can go full aggro. He just needs to buy a minute. A minute should be good enough. Mango shot coming in. A heavy hit, but if I'm not mistaken, Crackety can just kill the Mango, right? I'm pretty sure he can. Camel Archers just whittle away at that front line. Now the Spearmen are going to get in. Tech Up's about to complete. Needs to be careful of those Camel Archers. A lot of them are low HP, but they're going to be able to hold. Dimmu at risk of losing everything again. Mangonel is going to be clutch saved by the villagers. Camels are going to be thrown away. The Tech Up complete. The Muslim's time is now or never. He needs to get in. Mango is going to save the day. Clutch play coming out there from the Muslim. The mass villagers do keep the Mangonel alive, and it's critical that he does that at that timing, right? If he waits a little bit longer, if he doesn't press the attack now, and that Tech Up comes out, midway through that assault, the Spearmen get upgraded, and I think they would have had enough damage to take out that Mangonel. But now the Muslim maybe has a lifeline, but he needs to act fast here. Looks like we are going towards that boot camp. He's even going in for the armored caravans. In fairness, he can't just hold the choke point anymore, so the raiders might get in, a few knights might go in. This would slow down the kill rate substantially, in fact. Crossbows in the meantime are doing a lot of killing as they start to move in. Mango's being built right under his nose, though. He's not actually attacking it yet. We're finally racked over. It's a very slow build-up, but remember, the Abbasids, any military troopers can build this, and now with men-at-arms and spears added in there, Mango's going to be complete. The Muslim needs to get out. Heavy hit. Where is the Muslim's second line is my problem here. Oh, sorry, I just realized I never switched this around. There you go, I've got on the correct side now. So to Muslim, like, this was a good push-in, but now you have nothing. Your military is trickling across the map. They're two-footed soldiers, so they don't move fast. He has at least got 2 Mangonels, and he's opened the wall more. But I genuinely don't think he's done enough damage. Especially with the trade account being what it is. And to answer someone's question, it's not just melee armor, it's pierce as well. So the armored caravan upgrade makes you effective against everything. So now, guys, what you do is you mass traders for the low price of 80 resources and use them as a frontline tank. Big brain. And the keep drop to Muslim's only way of getting back in. If you can get a foothold here, staging point, he can start to breach in. In fact, he could even try to go for a landmark victory, but he's on the clock. Especially now that we're seeing a mixture of units being added in by Crackety. You've got the knights, you've got the crossbows, men-at-arms as well. It's a lot for the Muslim to answer. Especially with the Mangonels and the Sprions, and it looks like instead of getting his siege out, it's going to be beaten to the punchline. Crackety, he's going into the trebuchets. Trebs will make short work of this. I honestly think that this is probably like 3 or 4 minutes from over, one way or the other. Because if you're the Muslim, you either now do enough damage to shut down the trade, or you get pushed out, and then there's no point continuing because you're playing 1 TC Ottomans with no scalability. One play that the Muslim could try to make is sending a few knights or Sipahi north and just breaching the wall. You know, maybe you get in, maybe you don't, but like right now you can't go yet, right? You haven't got enough troops. So instead you can at least buy time. Oh, nice snipe there by Crackety though. Gets one of the Mangos. Dramatic situation, I mean. Folks, if you were in this situation and you are the Muslim, what would you actually do? How would you solve this problem? What would be your comp? What is your move right now? Because the castle seems really good. There are games where like the castle drops like this can be effective, but the problem is that the real issue exists behind the base, not in the base. Alt F4. That's true. That's one method. I believe this game was played like 2 days ago, so like another option would have been to install the Company of Heroes free beta test. And well, the back castle should be a success. Resounding one at that. I mean, with this castle going up, your only option is now to go to east. Castle on right corner. It could be a good play. Keep in mind, though, for Muslim, the issue is going to be this. If he commits villages anywhere and it fails, it's a huge loss for him because he's being doubled up in the eco count. So, also, the other issue you have is if you move north here, east rather, east-north, this keep is fully undefended. That being said, this keep is basically undefended right now. It's just dying to trebuchets. I don't know, man. I think there's just too much gone already. This would be probably his final Ura, and as soon as this fails, he'll start to fold a lot of the map control. I mean, honestly, if you're Crackety, I just noticed the tech up is already underway, so Cold Swings are coming through. The Muslim's going to lose the full keep at this rate. A rush of repairs coming out. A rush of Abbasid troops coming out. Although Siege is going to be annihilated, the problem is there's no mangonels to threaten the other way anymore. The Trebs are doing some work, though. Now, if the Muslim can get up to, like, 4 of these trebuchets, he can still end the game. But the problem is with the pull of resources towards replacing your front line, I don't know how you get 4 trebuchets out. I genuinely don't. And more than that, remember, folks, the Culture Wing's about to complete, and that's going to add another 5,000 HP onto what is already an impossible target. These are definitely what I call the more frustrating games, right? Like, the Muslim isn't necessarily doing anything wrong. It's just the ship has already left the harbor, right? This was the right play to go into a keep drop, to go into a treb. Maybe he could have got the keep slightly quicker. There's an argument for that, as he did go for this drop in the center. I think maybe looking back at this, the difference for Ben is he could have probably, with his positioning that he had, not have wasted stone on this keep. He could have went for an aggro keep where he did with the second, and that would have left him spare to go for a third drop near where the trade's happening. That's maybe the one difference, I'd say, that could have mattered in this mid-late game. Early game, the answer's kind of obvious right in hindsight. Like, scout the tech up. Because if you know that's coming, you don't go for this Castle Age rush. You probably are just going in for the Archer comp that the Ottomans were known for when they were released. But at this stage, with the full base basically crumbling, you know, with the Abbasids fully teched up in Imperial Age, and now getting Culverins out in the field, you can't help but feel the Muslim is about ready to fall over. Sorry, I feel like beta tested enough for Relic by buying AoE4 and launch. Hey man, that co-free beta stress test was free. You could have tested for them again. Half small copium. Ah yes, the sniper. Yo, Crackety, we gotta talk about your cannon usage, dog. So busy sniping the spearman, you don't take out the springboard. It's very sadness. Oh, this might be a sadness keep as well. Like, he got rid of the Culverin, but yeah, that's triple treb. And he sees, so I'm pretty sure this keep just dies before it completes, right? Right? It's gonna be tight. Oh! Ow. Much owie. Now, he'll get it complete, but it's gonna be close to on fire the moment it's complete. And that's enough to convince him it's done. I mean, a frustrating game, for sure, and not a surprise at all that Crackety got banned.